show. All right, so today I am with Paul Iacono and Marc Kudisch. How are you both doing today?
Good.
Good,
We're
good.
very excited to be chatting about this.
Yes, definitely. So, yeah, tell me, how excited are you to present the first public stage reading of Gotham Rogues, the second act of your unauthorized Batman parody musical at Club Cumming?
We're thrilled. You probably know a little bit about this, but we presented what was originally the one act musical version of this past June.
Mhm.
And the reception to it from the people who were involved, but obviously the audience and everyone who came to see it and whatnot, was just so overwhelmingly positive.
Mhm.
Through the very brief rehearsal period that we had, Marc and I actually didn't know each other personally before this.
Okay.
I'm gonna gush for 2 seconds. I've been a huge fan of his. From Assassins and Wild Party. Those two in particular are two of my favorite musicals. And anyway, so had been a big admirer of Marc's work for a while. I thought he'd be a fabulous Joker. He came to the first rehearsal, and within what was scheduled for like an hour rehearsal ended up into like a 2 hour conversation where Marc was like throwing out this idea and that idea, and how we could continue to expand this.
Mhm.
And I'm taking mental notes and physical notes, and basically he helped me to craft what ended up being this great cliffhanger ending for the first part.
Okay.
And from June until about October or September, I was hard at work, and Marc as well, at crafting this second act, which we're thrilled to be putting on its feet for the first time in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what is
No,
that?
listen.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead,
No, go
Denny.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Marc.
No, I was going to say when Paul and I met, like just the idea of it, I was just like enticed by it because I'm a comic book geek,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I literally in my kitchen up in one of the cabinets, I like have my prized comic books. I was a DC guy. So I've got like the first Venom, which I'm extremely proud of. I've got World of Krypton. I've got, Superman fighting Muhammad Ali, the first edition. Like
Mhm.
I've got all of these comics that like, and I know I'm not going to put them down in storage. It's not climate controlled. They're staying
Mhm.
in the apartment. And like, I love the idea of superheroes. I was saying to Paul earlier that like, you know, superheroes are just our modern day version of the gods, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just our way of like understanding things that we don't understand and probably will not understand for a long time.
Mhm.
So we have to do that with them. And we all love Batman. We all love, and but we really love the villains, don't we?
Definitely. We love a villain story.
And the joy of it when Paul presented it, when I first read it, I just was like, this is so great because it's based on that great animated series that is so popular and so well loved with such great voices. Mark Hamill is the
Mhm.
Joker. Give me a break.
Yeah.
And like, but what's great about it is hearing these people, these villains talk about like how if it wasn't for Batman, they wouldn't have ended up where they were, which is a really interesting point of view. And so I said to Paul, like, where's the reflection of that? Like in us, because this is a parody. We are
Yeah.
doing a parody. And, when we saw where we were when we presented it at Club Cumming at the end of Act One, because it does get a little dark,
Yeah.
you know, it's a parody and it gets a little dark. And we realized that, holy shit, this is literally just taking the cap off of something else entirely. So, again, thanks to like Paul and his knowledge of the icon, especially the of the animated series, we then found this other episode that really delves into it, like he said, or have you said yet? You haven't said yet. I should let you say,
No.
Paul.
Yeah. So Act Two is a theatrical exploration of the complex dynamics between Batman and his most iconic adversaries.
Okay.
And the story unfolds through a courtroom drama where Batman is put on trial
Mm-hmm.
televised and streamed around the world
Okay.
by the very rogues that he's battled for years and years. And the show delves very deep into each character's backstory, sort of like what Marc said, as they reveal how they perceive Batman and how their encounters with him have shaped their villainous identities. Actually, it's funny. We almost go out of our way not to use the word villain, just because there is that negative connotation to it. And without giving too much away, if we've done our jobs correctly, by the end of the show, the audience should be asking who are the real rogues in this story. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm loving this. I'm loving this idea.
And like, when did this all become a parody? And like, when did it all stop being a parody?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's very freeing, dude. Isn't it? It's like wildly freeing, because like the id is put on the table, and there's this wildly open conversation, and like the audience essentially becomes Arkham. They are prisoners in Arkham as well, and then streamed out to the world for everyone to see. And it's just sort of, it's very freeing.
Yeah, definitely.
The rules are sort of not.
And we love that. We love not playing by the rules.
It's very unhinged. And just something I'll tack on to that is that I don't think this is giving anything away. Towards the end of the show, after all the testimonies and lots of twists and turns, obviously, the audience, as the inmates of Arkham, gets to vote guilty or not guilty.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of like the jury a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little homage to Edwin Drood, if you will, but but yes, like
Yeah, definitely. Well, Paul, how did this concept of a Batman parody production initially come about?
I've said before that music was my first love, but I think Batman was my second.
Okay.
I kind of can't remember a part of my life where I wasn't watching the 66 series originally and then the animated series. And those two things just make up a lot of my personality, which I think explains a lot. So the musical was really inspired at first by, the rich storytelling and character development in Batman the Animated Series, particularly the two episodes that we've musically adapted. Act 1 focuses on Almost Gotham, where the rogues are hiding from Batman and the law at a dive bar in Gotham City, and they get into this heated exchange over who's come the closest to getting Batman. And then, without giving too much away, at the end of Act 1, they get him, they capture him. I'm going to leave out one little detail there that I don't want to give away, but they capture him, and then anyway, so that sets up the second act, which is based on an episode called The Trial. Okay. And both of these episodes were written by the brilliant Paul Dini, who is one of the core creators of Batman the Animated Series. But it was also inspired by our desire to explore the psychological and ethical complexities of Batman and his impact on the rogues of Gotham. Okay. And lastly, I guess it was inspired by the creative challenge of taking classic Batman lore and finding a playful, irreverent way, a parody to create something that's both familiar and unique.
Okay. Right. Awesome. And Marc, you played Joker. And as we've known in like the several films and TV series, we have different versions of the Joker. We have like the comical, goofy villain, but we also have like the sadistic, greedy, murderous character. What did you want to bring to the role?
All right. So look, what I love about the Joker is that of all of the characters, he's the most pure.
Okay.
He knows who he is. He knows why he is. he is extremely honest, if you will, in his approach and in his conversation with anyone. Where you are with him. What you get is what you get. There's a real freedom in his amorality, in his his id. And I also think there's a lot to be learned there.
Okay.
I've had a history. Look, I've had a history of playing questionable people, and continue to do so. And it's always interesting to put yourself in the place of people that you'd usually point a finger at, right?
Okay.
Yeah, everyone's always easy to say that guy. Like, I've always played that guy. And we never want to put ourselves in the shoes of that guy because we're afraid we may find we're very much like that guy. And, like the joy of, there's a joy to Joker, but I have to say, there's a joy to each and every one of these characters. And that's the fun, like what Paul's been saying. Like, it's a real ensemble.
Yeah.
And we all love the Joker, right? But we all love all of these characters. Penguin, which is having like the best effing series on HBO right now.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but he's effing genius. And like, Two-Face and Poison Ivy. And like, what I love about these here's why we love Batman so much. Here's why I think Batman is perhaps one of the most successful superheroes on screen, because he's a guy. He's not a meta. He's not super. He's just a guy. And so there's something that we can all relate to when people go to such an extreme place. You know what I mean? There's no one that can't identify with the intense, absolute emotions and drive and focus that Batman has. Like I've said to Paul, what I love about the Batman is he's the detective. He's the detective. He would look at super beings and they would be scared of him because he could look right through you and it didn't matter who you were. That's why it was that triad of Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman in charge of the Justice League, because they balanced each other. Where Superman was just like, all goodness and everything. Batman he was the detective. He was going to be the one to question everything. And like, it's just interesting that each of these characters is just a human being that for intense reason and purpose have become what they've become. And I think that that's something that is incredibly relatable. And that's why, like, we wanted to create something that really talked to all the comic book geeks out there, including this guy, so that the people that love the lore come and get what they want. They're going to be super satisfied. People who don't know a damn thing about the lore, but know the characters, will come and have a really good time. People who may not even know the damn characters, they're going to come and have a really good time. And everyone is also going to learn something about those characters, no matter who you are or how much lore you have, that you didn't know.
Gotcha. Definitely. And Paul, you play the Riddler, is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, so
and I got my sorry, this is a name drop. I got my friend Corey Michael Smith, who played Riddler on Gotham.
Love that series. Love it.
So do I. He gave me his blessing. So I play the Riddler. Marc is the Joker. Allison Frazier is Poison Ivy. Terrence Archie from Rocky the musical on Broadway. He played Apollo Creed. He's our Two-Face. The incredible actor Taylor Trench. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's our Penguin.
Okay.
I think you would recognize him if you saw him. He's done a lot of great work, and Marc and him are actually working together right now. On am I allowed to say?
We're going to be working together. We're both in Floyd Collins this spring.
Okay, awesome. Very nice. So what would you say makes everyone the ideal fit for their characters?
That's an interesting question, dude. And I'll say this to that. No. I'll say this to that. because Paul and I have, like, first of all, we have an embarrassment of riches in our friends.
Mm-hmm.
We have really talented friends that we can reach out to. And when it's come to asking someone to do a role, I'll say this. It's always been like, what about so and so? Oh, God, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, oh, he'd be a great that. And Paul would be like, no, I was thinking about him for this. And the beauty of it is that we've talked about this. Like, it's really personality. It's really just like logic and intention of the characters. So many of the people that we know that are involved in working with us on this could play multiple roles in this.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Paul? Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, yes, I'm Joker for now. I may end up being Batman in the future, or Two-Face in the future. I would like to try out all of them. And I think that is sort of the joy of what we're doing, is that we're creating this village of people that we love who are wildly talented.
Mm-hmm.
And it is our hope that, like, it's the kind of piece that people will be able to jump in and out of. And, like, even a part of the joy of doing the piece is not just the piece itself, but like swapping out roles or playing different personality and like seeing what it's like. Yeah, I'm going to be the Joker, right? And you know, I'm a naughty man, but like, and then to jump onto the opposite side and at some point play the Batman, you know, and see it from that other perspective. We're lucky. We know a lot of really talented, awesome people who are all incredibly game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, there's nobody better to play the Riddler than Paul. Like, there's nobody better to play the Riddler than Paul, and especially in how, you know, he specifically has really shaped that character for today. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And I must admit that the Riddler is like my absolute favorite of the Batman villains. So when I found out that Paul was playing him, like, okay, I guess I can see it. It's a good fit. And when I learned that you were playing the Joker, Mark, I can see that as a good fit for you. And yeah, everyone who I looked up, I could see them playing those villains and just bringing something extra special to it. So yeah, and that's amazing. And so Gotham Rogues will play for only one night at Club Cumming on December 12th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so why just the one night?
I'll let Mark take this.
Well, because here's the fun of what, you know, we're doing. Like, we're learning about the piece. The piece is still in development. It's still in process.
Okay.
You know, we're still writing and we're learning. And it's really kind of a joyful thing to be able to present it down at Club Cumming, because it's off the grid of, you know, Times Square. It's off the grid of the usual structure of the development of a piece of music theater. Yeah. So this is just a taste. It's a taste for an audience. It's a taste for us. It's not a performance. It's presentation. And it's just a way for us to sort of get to know you, and for you to get to know us, and for all of us to get to know it.
Okay, perfect. Well, after Club Cumming, what's next?
So this summer, we are going to put Act 1 and Act 2 together for the first time on stage, obviously, at Joe's Pub.
Okay.
And, you know, and we're going to, you know, raise the stakes. It's obviously not going to be a full production, but we're going to bring as much of Gotham as we can to Joe's Pub. And, you know, and then after that, I mean, again, you know, it's like, you know, we did Act 1, now we're going to do Act 2, then we're going to put it together. And obviously we would love for this to live off Broadway. We think, you know, an unconventional parody musical like this, you know, I hate to compare contrast, but Titanic has done, you know, miraculously, and is now playing in the West End and touring. I don't want to compare the two shows too closely, besides the fact that they're both parodies of, you know, known brands, known entities. And I think that they they both do a great job at bringing something different and exciting and visceral to the to the source material. So I think that if Titanic can succeed as well as it has, I think that there's definitely space for this unhinged, character-driven, Sondheim-esque, Assassins-esque Batman villain parody musical.
Yeah, I agree.
There's something so great about doing it in a bar, dude. Like, seriously, there's something so fantastic about doing it not necessarily in a theater, like in a traditional theater for sure. Like, that's where it's been fun for us, is that, like, who knows where we're going to pop up next. I guess you'll just have to wait and see. And I like that. I and like Paul said, Joe's is going to be great because we're still, obviously it's a bigger venue. It's known for putting on certain kind of entertainment, but it's still, God bless it, a bar. It still has that open energy and atmosphere, and like, by all means, have a drink while you're watching the show. and then after that, like he said, like, Titanic was just this. I love Titanic so much. I really love it. And like, I love something that just creates its own rules, in a space that it decides what that space is. And I think, as someone who has been on Broadway for 35 years and been a part of the industry and the machine of the industry, I think we need. Look, man, when I first got to New York City, off Broadway was the coolest place in the world. That's where all the really great stuff was happening. And I think we need to revive that. We need to have more places outside the box. We've gotten to this linear idea of how theater should be, and we've gotten into this linear fiscal idea of how it can exist. We got to break all that wide open.
I agree. Definitely. Well, how can one stay up to date with the production?
Well, my Instagram is usually a good source.
Okay.
I ceased to no, I haven't been posting too much, but the next 2 weeks, watch out. My Instagram is always a good source. Marc, the people involved, the core collaborative team. We're going to be talking about this, and the only reason we're waiting until this summer to do the Joe's Pub thing is because, as Marc said, we have an embarrassment of riches in terms of the actors.
Right.
The ones who did the Act 1 presentation, and there's a couple of maybe 3 actors who are currently working on Broadway or off Broadway in shows who are not available this time around.
Okay.
And and you're always going to deal with that when you're dealing with smaller pieces like this, who's available, who's not. So by the time we get, so the reason we're waiting is because a lot of these people are working. It's an embarrassment of riches, as Marc has said, and we want to preserve this incredible village that we've built, of good people and exceptionally talented people that we're lucky enough to be friends with. So we're in a Goldilocks spot of just like having some really interesting material that actors can really dig their teeth into as much as audiences, and that people want to do. People want to play these roles. People want to go on this adventure because it's fun and it's different, and I've used this word before, but it's unhinged in the best way possible.
And that's the best, yes.
Yeah, and look, outside of Instagram, don't be surprised if you see a bat signal pop up somewhere at some point.
All right, there you go. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to mention or plug with this? Any other upcoming projects you'd like to talk about?
Marc?
I mean, look, Paul and I were talking about this before. This season feels like the first season that Broadway is fully back
Okay, since
to
COVID.
me. Yeah, like, I know that we've been up and running now for almost 2 years, but this season really feels like, okay, we're back now. Like
Mm-hmm.
things are really driving forward, and that there's this plethora of interesting material, and that people are back to really exploring. And it's not just, let's just give them something that they want because we just got out of COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it really feels like there's a lot of, so I mean, I cannot speak highly enough of, like, I can't, I'm in it. Floyd Collins. We just did a workshop of it. It is in my existence in the theatrical community one of the most stunning pieces of theater I've ever seen.
Mhm.
And I saw the first performance of it back in 96. I had no expectation. I didn't know anything. And I left for the first time. I left a theater literally going, I've never had that kind of experience.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend it to everyone to see the piece. It's getting rewrites. It's the completion of a long journey, and I'm really proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
When does it go up, Mark?
I mean, we start previewing in March. Like we did a
Okay.
workshop of it, and so we're going back into rehearsal. I think no, February. We go into rehearsal in February, and then I think we start previewing in March. We open, I want to say April 26th. It's going to be a very busy spring season. And look out for a couple of new Michael John LaCusa pieces as well,
Okay.
because he's been very busy.
All right. Perfect. Paul, anything else from you?
Well, I'm juggling a few things as always. Denny and I, this is our second interview, so he knows that I've always got a couple tricks up my sleeve. But I will say, for the moment, this is the focus, because it deserves it. And we're just really proud of this one. We really think that it can go all the way.
Mhm.
And it's about just polishing and just getting it as ready as it can for a first presentation.
Mhm.
But yeah, the focus is on this right now, and how to continue to make it better. And then the next steps, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but there are people who are already interested in this.
Okay.
So hopefully they dig what we're cooking up, and I'm feeling confident about it. So we'll see where it goes.
All right. Fantastic.